right, nation. We're here with another episode of Fan to Fan Network. We're going to talk about the previous game of the Dallas Cowboys, and then we're going to talk about the future game, Dallas Cowboys versus the Browns. This is week 4, and this is episode 4, and I have one of the writers for Fan to Fan Network, Ryan Cox. How do you feel about last week's game, Ryan?
Well, I don't feel great about it, Law, but there were definitely some good things to go along with the bad. So, I'm a little up and down throughout the week, but not too bad.
All right, so this was a game whereas we featured Dak Prescott in. Of course, this was a game that we also looked at Ezekiel Elliott, who didn't have a lot of yards, but this was a coming out party for Cedric Wilson. And we can start off with the positive, of course. Cedric Wilson did a great job of getting over 100 yards, and I think that Dak Prescott back-to-back with 400-plus yards shows that he is growing in a sense. What are your thoughts on both of those two guys?
Sure. So the receiver core has just looked really good to start the season, Law. Even when Amari Cooper's missed some snaps and stuff, and he's been wobbly a little bit, but other guys have just stepped up left and right. You see Michael Gallup make some big catches. CeeDee Lamb's doing his thing, looking like a veteran on a weekly basis. But like you said, even the 4 and the 5, Cedric Wilson and Noah Brown are stepping up. And, man, Cedric Wilson looked fast out there. Yeah. So I was very impressed with him after the catch.
Yeah, and it was one of those situations whereas the offense looked like they're doing some good things, but we have this makeshift offensive line. We saw that Terrence Steele was out. Reports came out that they really didn't bench him. We thought when we saw him on the sidelines, we could have said, hey, he's benched, but it came out that he had a stomach bug or a flu or something like that, and he had to be set out on the side there. And they did this makeshift thing where they kicked Zach Martin as the tackle, and that seems like the Cowboys building the plane while it's in the air. And I know that's not the best recipe, but right now that is what we're doing. We are trying to fix the offense and fix the defense while we at play. What are your thoughts on the Cowboys gliding things around? How do you feel about this team in those fashions?
Well, I got to say I was really impressed with how Zach Martin looked at right tackle. It doesn't shock me as talented as he is, but I mean, he slid right over. You got to assume in practice he probably hasn't had a ton of snaps even in his career at right tackle.
Right.
So at the same time, seeing Connor Williams still out there at left guard, I'd almost rather see Joe Looney slid over to the left and Connor Williams playing right tackle and Zach Martin back in his natural position where he could be most effective. But, yeah, it really comes down to, with me, what is the deal with Tyron Smith moving forward?
Yeah, they said that they got him on light duty practice today, meaning that he's not going through the full rigmarole of practice. Hopefully we can have him back, but it seems like it could be one of those situations where it's a neck stinger and they want to be cautious with it, especially with the news that coming out with La'el Collins. We would think that this would be his welcome back party, but it seems as if though Jerry Wayne don't know, or Jerry Wayne Jones, that's why I just call him Jerry Wayne, because it just flows with everything, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But Jerry Wayne Jones said he don't know what's going on. Doctors don't know what's going on with La'el Collins, and quite sure I think that La'el Collins don't know what's going on with his hips. So maybe, just maybe, the Cowboys will roll out the Brandon Knight package again, and roll out the Connor Williams package again, and roll out the Joe Looney, or maybe Tyler Biadasz. Maybe, just maybe, they can look at it and say, well, Dak Prescott put up north of 15 points when we did the makeshift offensive line. Let's just keep that thing going. You know, maybe that will be the philosophy for this week against the Browns, because outside of that, we can look back at this thing and say, Terrence Steele is causing this team games.
Yeah, there's no doubt about it. And the Browns are going to offer a really tough defensive line to block against. So I was really impressed with what I saw out of Tyler Biadasz as well. So I definitely like to see him on the field more. Keep the young guys in there, because I don't think Joe Looney is really playing worlds better than him anyways.
Right. Yeah, you want to see a separation. You want to see a big, vast separation, but we don't see that much. So might as well give the young guy more reps, because he's your future. He's the guy that you drafted for 10 years. That's how long an offensive lineman or offensive tackle, regardless of on the offensive line, lasts, 10 years. So I would think that these valuable reps is good. And then on top of that, Joe Looney, we love what you're doing. We love your services, but let's just get the young blood in there and hopefully Brandon Knight. I don't see him being a detriment to this offensive line. Actually, Ezekiel Elliott, that's the only alleyway that he can run on. Right now, he's averaging less than 2 yards per carry running to the right side, and that's where Terrence Steele at. And I know, and I'm not trying to sully or denigrate Terrence Steele, but Zach Martin is doing too much of reaching, compensating, trying to overcompensate to help out Joe Looney and Terrence Steele. So hopefully we can fix and iron this thing out in the future against these Browns.
Yeah, there's no doubt, because when Terrence Steele is out there, it seems like Ezekiel Elliott is more of a sixth offensive lineman. He's doing a lot of the pass blocking duty out there to help protect Dak. And as far as keeping Zeke healthy heading into the later parts of the season, I think it's kind of important that we don't use him in the block game too much.
Too much. All right, so I'm going to have to talk about the woes. You already know where I'm going.
Yeah,
I'm going to talk about the defensive secondary. In every main category as it relates to pass coverage, we are ranked either dead last or in the bottom half. Jerry came out and Stephen Jones came out and said, hey, we love our guys, or we like our guys. So,
yeah.
What do you feel about it? Do you think that this secondary, which is scary right now outside of Diggs, do you think that should be the philosophy? Because there is a guy that wears 29 sitting out there on the market. His name is Earl Thomas, for those who don't know. Do you think that we should go out there and pool resources to get a veteran guy?
Well, I do think the defensive back position is going to go through some growing pains, especially Trayvon Diggs as he progresses in his rookie season. But
right.
At the safety position, it comes down to, is Darian Thompson a starting safety in the NFL? And, man, he blew a lot of coverages out there against Russell Wilson and Tyler Lockett and DK Metcalf. So I think moving forward, safety is probably the biggest concern on the defense. It sounds to me like Earl Thomas is kind of a pipe dream at this point. Right. You still hear a couple rumors come out every few days or whatever, but I think if we were going to get it done, we would have at least investigated into it a little more by now. So I'm not too confident that we're going to address safety, but I definitely think we need to.
Yeah, that's the situation that we really need to. Now, they got this thing called practice squad protection plan. Basically, you can reserve 4. Now, out of the 4 guys that they reserved, one being I guess Bernard Francis, Francis Bernard, I believe I'm saying the man's name backwards. He was one of the spotlights of the linebackers during his offseason. And the other guy is a defensive tackle named Justin Hamilton. I think that he's a big plug that's in the inside. They reserving him. But the other 2 guys are Chris Westery. He's a tall 6'4" type of corner/safety guy, but he plays primarily corner. And then Stephen Parker. When I looked at Stephen Parker film assessment, I think that he can cover a little bit better than a Darian Thompson. And I think that it will be a good guy that they can elevate if they're thinking about making the move, because Stephen Jones did say and mention, we believe in our guys and we got guys that's on the practice squad. I'm wondering, is he talking about Chris Westery and Stephen Parker? Maybe that could be the situation, the scenario this coming Sunday.
Yeah, well, it's interesting with Parker because he's made some plays in the past for, what was it, the Miami Dolphins, I believe, right?
Yeah, he made some plays in the past with the Miami Dolphins. And on top of that, here's the situation with this, Ryan. We got our hands full. Because think about it. We playing against the Cleveland Browns. And although we cannot go to sleep on the Browns, this would be a home game for us. And when we talking about a home game, everybody knows you like to show up against the Dallas Cowboys, especially even if you think about the officials, right? And if I'm Odell Beckham and if I'm Jarvis Landry, I'm doing like this. What do you think that what Odell Beckham and Jarvis Landry might do against this against this secondary unit?
Well, it's definitely concerned because the Cleveland Browns' strengths definitely play against our weaknesses right now. And the secondary is vulnerable to being beat over the top. We saw it in Seattle with Russell Wilson. But we got to remember Baker Mayfield isn't going to beat us like Russell Wilson did. But that doesn't mean that Odell Beckham and Juice Landry aren't capable, because they are, and Beckham has a lot of speed, and he's definitely a threat to beat us over the top. So it's absolutely a legitimate concern this week.
Yes, juice. He gonna try to bring all of the juices he can. And they got another guy, I believe he played with Dalton Schultz in college land, Austin Hooper, I believe his name. So we're going to have to worry about the tight end. And not saying that we should be in fear, because I believe that the Cowboys will win this game. And I'm just trying to put it out there in the atmosphere. Not saying that we're going to walk over the Browns, because we can't just say, okay, we're going to sleep on the Browns, because they're front four. Myles Garrett, they got some good guys that can penetrate. And we already know, if I'm Myles Garrett, I'm looking at L.A. Rams tape. I'm looking at the Grady Jarrett's tape as well with the Atlanta Falcons. And I'm going to see how I can benefit from exploiting the Dallas Cowboys' interior offensive line. I'm going to try to put the quarterback on his back. So I'm quite sure that Myles Garrett, he's rubbing his hands together like this too.
Yeah, there's no doubt about it. The Cleveland Browns are definitely really good in the trenches. They have some good defensive tackles. Myles Garrett speaks for himself. He'll be getting after the quarterback. And we got to do a decent job of protecting Dak, because if we don't, we're going to have a long day. But if we can buy him some time and protect him from Myles Garrett and those other guys, then I think we can pick apart that secondary in Cleveland.
No doubt, man. So in the parting or the closing minutes here, I always reach out to you for fantasy, right? You know, right
Sure.
now, Ryan, I'm 3-0 in my fantasy league over here playing against some of these guys, and this is my first year playing fantasy football. Right now, when I think about this, I got a chance to keep Leonard Fournette, and he didn't put up no yards. But I made an acquisition trade to pick up this guy that played for the 49ers. I think he had a great week last week. His name is Wilkerson. I don't know if you know of him. Do you know of anything of him?
No, I'm actually not familiar with that.
Yeah. It's nobody left on the market, basically. But neither here nor there. Neither here nor there. I'm still going to start Amari Cooper. I'm still going to start my CD Lamb. And I'm still going to start Dak Prescott, because back-to-back 400 yards. Do you predict that Dak Prescott can at least give me 300 yards this weekend?
Well, yeah, absolutely. I mean, that's kind of our strength against the Cleveland Browns is attacking that secondary. Cleveland isn't Seattle. Seattle's probably the second best team in the NFL right now at stopping the run. I think Cleveland's ranked 5th, so they're really good at it, even still. So I think we're definitely going to have to rely on that passing game again a lot on Sunday. So, yeah, I expect Dak to have a big game. I expect CD Lamb to go out there and keep doing his thing as well.
It's my old Cowboys fantasy football team. Oh, also, I got the Patriots defense versus, I guess they're going to play against Kansas City Chiefs this weekend. Or should I do this? Should I sub out my Patriots defense, sub in the Minnesota Vikings defense, because they're going to be facing the Houston Texans? Or should I just leave everything the same, because the Patriots are the Patriots?
Yeah, the Patriots are the Patriots. The only thing that scares me about that Houston offense is that Deshaun Watson will go out there and do his thing. He doesn't have the best weapons in the world, but we've seen you give him any time, he will make plays with his feet and his arm.
No doubt, Ryan. I really appreciate you so much for tuning in to this episode 4 for Fan to Fan Network. I cannot believe we are already into week 4. Before you know it, the season will be over with. Hopefully everybody that's in Tennessee, and I think is in they shut down the Vikings camp or what have you, I hope that everybody can get a good report back for the COVID, and we can get football life back in order. And we hope that everybody have a speedy recovery. If you haven't heard of any of those things, Cowboy Nation and beyond, the Tennessee Titans camp is shut down due to COVID, and their game is pushed back because they are going to play against, I believe, the Pittsburgh Steelers, I believe, and they pushing everything back. But we're just going to put our hearts and minds and our hands together and pray that they can have a speedy recovery and have some football back into this thing over there. Ryan, can you tell all of the wonderful people that's listening where they can find and follow your page?
Sure, absolutely. So thanks again for having me on, Law. It's going to be Fratagonia on YouTube, Fratagonia on Instagram, and Real Fratagonia on Twitter.
No doubt, man. I can't wait for all of this stuff to pass over and we can see football back again. You guys follow Ryan on Fratagonia. And don't forget to follow Fan to Fan Network, where you guys can get some raw, unfiltered, strong opinion stuff. Let's continue to grind to shine, Cowboy Nation and beyond. That's been all time. And remember, you're listening to nothing but the best. Let's go. Let's go. There's a W out there. It's a W out there, Rob. We just got to find it.